All right, welcome back. We're going to roll in some footage of the flooding. Let's talk about the future real quick. I know we're to date, we still have water on the ground, but where do we improve the system in the next couple of years? I know the agency has a big lock that's going to be put in there, but start off with you, Norby, from a state level, what can be done?
I have the honor and the high privilege of serving both Southern Terrebonne and Lafourche. And it wasn't something that I didn't know already, nor do any of you up here, nor do many people watching us at home. They don't already know this. So the statement is a bit redundant. But when you, as high as we were in a Black Hawk, flying from Terrebonne Parish across the marsh to Lafourche Parish, you see what a complete protection system can mean to an area. We're gonna have that in Terrebonne. It's taken some time, but we've made monumental strides in a very short period of time.
And with only state and local funds, no federal money.
It's been impressive to watch the coordination between the parish, Terrebonne levy, and the state. I don't know if Michel went through who was on the flight with us, but we did have the executive director of OCPR, Jerome Zarang, who we were lucky to have as our levy director here for so long. So he is acutely aware of the issues that we have in Lower Terrebonne and Terrebonne Parish as a whole, and working so well with South Lafourche Levy District and North Lafourche Levy District for all those years. Again, he is extremely aware of the issues that face South Lafourche, because South Lafourche by no means, is in the best situation that they can be in. There are areas in their levy that need work. Their biggest enemy sometimes doesn't seem to be Mother Nature, but the Corps of Engineers, and that's a chorus that has been sung more than once. Mm-hmm. So the future is bright, and we keep our fingers crossed that this is the only event that we see this season, because I'm telling you, if we can get through without another major storm that does tidal surge damage, I mean real Ike, real Rita type damage, next year you're going to be light years away from the protection that you have right now.
But Michel, if we take this storm back to '85, when the senator was talking about it, when his dad was instrumental in starting the levee system and all, we'd have a major problem today.
No question about it, particularly with the loss of the wetlands. But Martin, we've seen that damage down in Shrimpers Row. Once that Reach F and that barge gate across the H&C is going to be there, and they have probably about $20 million for Reach E, which runs parallel to Falgo Canal Road, and we have CDBG money, which we're going to continue up from Suzie Canal up towards Thompson Road, and we're going to elevate Ward 7 up to 12. That'll truly be redundant levels of protection, and we're going to be substantially better. Now, let me also mention, we're working on Thompson Road extension, and that's going to connect to the Grand Caillou levees and the Highway 56 levees. We also put up the Industrial Boulevard levees, and that served us well in this thing. We were not flood fighting in that area. We've elevated around motivated seafood. We're working on that Concord project right now, and we did unfortunately have water that went up around the port that goes around right outside of the H&C towards Country Club Drive, that extension of Concord in that area. We are going to be
but we're really a year away from a lot of things finishing. If this happens
Correct.
Next year, we don't have a lot of this footage
right
now.
And Martin, let me just mention too, there's some flooding around the UPS building. We've requested the state to elevate that highway many times. It's supposedly on their safety list. It'll get up there. One of the things that we all know, it just didn't have the funds, but once they closed that Boudreaux Canal gate on Bayou Little Caillou, and then they close the gate above it, then what's going to happen is if you have water that's being pumped in there from pump stations, then it just builds up in that system. We're going to have something that we're going to have done before next storm season, which will assist in redirecting some of that water from Bayou Little Caillou back to our pump stations. And we have Bayou Neuf, Oleander, and Lashbrook in that area. And so that's going to make a substantial amount of difference in that area. Now, once they do J2, right now, the thing I'm anxious to see is the Pointe-a-Chantal levee that the levee district's doing. They're going to be putting a barge gate in there ultimately, and Charlotte and all I know are
That's something
doing.
y'all have to work
Well,
closely on. 'Cause
Charlotte's doing a great job with Reach K and L in that area, and that's going to provide levels of protection we've never seen in Terrebonne, but it can never be high enough, strong enough, or big enough, and we'd like to see it all get up there quickly.
Charlotte, did you think that it would get this advanced? You've been working on this for a while, but there's got to be some hope, isn't there?
There's quite a bit of hope, and as we look at the pictures, you know, it grieves me to know that we haven't advanced further than this simply because of the bureaucracy involved with governmental funds. But we have determined that within the next year, there's going to be about $250 million worth of projects in Lafourche, starting with restoration at Caminada Headland and West Bell Pass. West Bell Pass has been bid out already for $28 million. Caminada Headland is coming as well. The engineering is almost complete on that. But as I spoke about, the seawall in des Allemands will protect people there. Seawall in the Intercoastal near North American is another major project. And again, too, we can talk about a lot of the major ones, but there's a couple of them that we can handle now. I mean, speaking with the gentleman before we got here, it's a matter of sometimes putting flap gates on ditches so we can control the water coming in and going out.
And that seems simple, but you know what? That's very important.
It's very important, and just to have a good cache of portable pumps. Michel mentioned portable pumps, and that way you can address situations very quickly. We were able to stave off some of the flooding in some areas with portable pumps that we had identified in advance. Again, those were projects that are coming, but we knew that we had to do something immediately. If we'll be blessed enough that we have the time to get these in place for this time next year, then I think a lot of what you see, particularly this cutoff point of Shan Levy, I mean, between the parish and the state, we put together our CDBG money, and building that levee in that area will help people in Bayou Blue, because there won't be as much water coming up from the Gulf of Mexico.
That seemed to be a troubled area for water.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but it ties into the Morganza, and certainly would be a major step in protection, put it that way.
Senator Chabert, the funding sources seem to be strong coming from the state. See any need to not continue that, or will it continue?
Well,
Feel pretty strong about it?
The sort of
I know you do, but
the
does
sort of
everybody
carrot
else?
we've been chasing, that Senator Dupree, when he was Reggie, when he was a senator, along with Senator Landrieu, the Go Mesa money that's going to come in 2017, that's going to be directly tied to oil and gas production in the Gulf, that is going to be used for coastal restoration, has been that big pie in the sky pot of money. You never want to, be thankful for terrible events that happen. However, the BP spill, the amount of money that is going to come forward via NERDA money, that has to be used on coastal restoration, is going to prove to be, almost pennies from heaven. Again, you want to look at a silver lining around a dark cloud, but there are going to be projects that we thought were impossible to achieve just due to the sheer scale and size and cost that, the parish and the state can work together all day long on projects. But at the end of the day, there's a finite end of, capital outlay is somewhere along the lines of $320 million a year that shall be spent. And then that's it. And that gets divided amongst all the parishes. Right. So when we come back from Baton Rouge and we've got $14 million in hand, or $12 million in hand, or $20 million in hand for any given project or for any given parish, locally, that's a major windfall. But as Charlotte said, to the amount of money that's going to be spent in Lafourche Parish, the money that's going to come down the pipe in the next 3 to 5 years is, and then on to that, as soon as we start tapping into that 2017 Go Mesa money, is going to be, a possible coastal changing amount of money. And it's not only going to be, we're taking the key steps because for a long time, these two things were separate. Hurricane protection and coastal restoration. Now they're hand in hand. Well, we're taking the steps to do what's necessary first, and that is protect our citizens via flood protection. Okay, putting in the levees, putting in the pump stations, making that critical infrastructure there so that, when we get those second step items like money for barrier island restoration, for, marsh revegetation, for terracing, for whatever projects, working with OCPR and QIPRA and all these other NGOs and governmental organizations that say this is how we need to restore our
You're
coast.
building inside out instead
That's
of
right,
outside.
instead of outside in. And it's critical to do both. But for a long time, we couldn't get money for either. And now we're getting money for protection first and restoration second.
I said that this morning. I see money coming in. Not all the years we've been doing this show, there has been money. Been a lot of absence of it over the years, but it seems to be flowing.
Well, the
Now,
people
that's
had to
a good
suffer
thing.
for a very long time for us to get to this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and $1 billion from BP in the first installment of these NERDA funds. Louisiana's asked for half of it, because we feel like the resource damages that have been done here are greater than any other state. Certainly the other states had the economic damage, but they didn't have the damage to the environment. And we've requested half of that money, and BP's got to make a decision soon on what they're going to do with it. I hope it's not as long as 3 years. I hope it's sooner than that.
But the unfortunate deal, and you guys know it, is the way that decision is going to be made throughout the federal government is again a bureaucratic
Oh, yeah.
boondoggle.
It's going to be
Yeah.
Be-
politics.
Oh, it's
Oh.
the system
How
was
many delegates you have?
yeah,
that's
the
right.
system was never set up to deal with an all spill that was not tri-state,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
It was expected to be an isolated deal. This state was impacted, be it inland, be it offshore, be it something like you saw in a sound in Alaska where they just deal with one government, and you could say, okay, by law, the head of this, and this are going to be the people that decide that money, where that money is spent. Well, now you're dealing with, X, Y, and Z bureaucrat from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, and it's going to be an internal bureaucratic fight.
Somebody else will throw their name
It
in the
is.
hat.
Oh, I have no doubt.
For sure.
California, without a doubt, is going to try to get some of that money.
Let me
With all
ask
the problems they're
before I
seeing.
let y'all go, I know y'all busy. Any word on schools in Terrebonne and Lafourche? Are they open tomorrow?
Schools in Terrebonne are going to be open.
Yes.
We were
That are-
with, Jack
that are-
Moore was on the flight also,
Okay.
and he indicated there was no water in any of the schools in Terrebonne.
Yeah, same with
And
us.
that was as of the time we left.
We had a lot of
Unfortunately, for
children.
the younger kids who were looking for a day off, you have to go to school. So, there
A
you
lot
go.
of them texting me and saying, "Do we have school tomorrow?"
You always
And-
go back to Juan. I remember I was a kid in school for Juan, and certain areas of a lower parish,
Oh,
kids
yeah.
were out of school for 6, 7, 8 weeks.
But South
Well, that's what I'm
Lafourche
saying, if
system
this-
wasn't complete for one.
Oh,
If you
that's right.
remember, there
Oh,
were
yeah.
gaps and.
Golden
It was
Meadow
bad. I
had
mean,
as
that was
much
my-
water as
That was my
Locaia.
first
That's right.
hurricane. It
That's
was
right.
much worse because we have protection now.
Yeah.
This would have been bad if we wouldn't have had the protection. We had not really bad.
And
So-
Martin, one thing, everybody's amazed at the amount of water from this. This was not the biggest wind event, but it was pounding and pounding and pounding, and brought an amazing amount of water, both by tide and also by rainfall on this
Rainfall,
area.
Hurricane Ike didn't put much more water.
Oh, you're right.
This one was close to Ike.
Yeah, yeah, this
I
one
mean,
was
it-
close.
totally different surges and everything, but this one stayed for 3 days. Ike moved out real quick. So-
And each one, as y'all know, is a learning experience. They all different. As much as they look the same, they're all different, and you learn a lesson every time.
Yeah. Well, thank y'all for coming. I know y'all have work to do and appreciate it. And Norby, keep me posted on the floodgate.
Yeah.
We're gonna try.
I know you're gonna work hard on that. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll roll in some footage, take some phone calls, and it'll all be next. Don't go away. All righty, thank you.